Alright, hello everybody. I am Purple Thickman, and today we're going to be doing a Let's Play Indie for WizardPunk. Today's Let's Play is going to be a little different than the previous ones. So, WizardPunk is an action RPG fighter, is probably the best way to describe it. And as you can see, there are a couple different characters that you can choose from, and then you play through the story with each one of these characters. So in order to show off what this game has available to you, I'm going to be playing just the first tournament section, which doesn't have any spoilers in it. There are backstories for each of these characters that we're going to see at the very beginning. I'm just going to kind of speed through them. You can pause and read them if you want. There's a little bit of a delay between all of them being fully up and me being able to skip through, but I think it would be cool to play all four of these characters through just the first story arc of the tournament that they take part in, which is before any real stuff within the game happens. So we're going to be playing with just the basic spells, no upgrades. We're not even going to get into guilds, which are something that this game has. So on top of your four characters, which as you can see are different elements, they have little backstories and fighting styles. They start out with very basic spells, and you can upgrade these spells. You can also swap spells out later, and like I said, there's guilds, which are Alchemist, Shamans, and Witches Guild, all of which give you additional stuff on top of your character to further customize. So, for instance, the Witches Guild gives you a broom, so you can fly around and cast spells. The Shamans Guild gives you a totem that's unique to each character, and the Alchemist Guild lets you gather herbs, and then you can create 10 potions that you can take into battle with you. But today we're just going to be doing the quick playthrough with all these characters, and I'm gonna try and talk through the different unique mechanics, but I'm also gonna try and play through as fast as I can to see how quickly we can beat them. I've played each of these characters through the point that I'm saying, so I'm familiar with their attacks, but they are very different. So we're gonna start with the first character here, Ignisa, and then we're just going to work our way through until we finish with Aqua. And then I'll also show off the custom maps that you can do, where you can create your own loadout for your characters. And we'll do one of those. So let's just delete all of these saves real quick. I already did this for Vito, so we don't have to worry about them. And we'll go to Ignisa, so these are their backstories. You can pause now if you want to read it. We're going to skip the combat tutorial. It is the same for everyone. So the characters in this game, at least starting out, we're going to start out here. They have a primary, which is your main damaging move for the most part. It is on left mouse button, and your AoE is on right mouse button, and then you have a utility move, which is like a dodge. As you can see, we have a dodge roll, which is on left control for me. Playing on PC, it changes if you're playing with a controller, which this game does support controller. As you can see with Ignisa here, we're much more of a up-close and personal person, generally, and the goal here is to just take out the other mage's health bar as fast as possible. And you can see the objects have collision. There we go. All right, so the tournaments in the very beginning are very fast, and we're going to be fighting, I believe, 3 enemy mages total, and we will always be ending with Skelly, who's the final mage that we're going to be taking on today. And the game is really fast-paced. It's also a lot of fun. There's a little bit of strategy to it in that I can get knocked down. As you can see, I got knocked down. It gives you a little bit of invulnerability too, so you can't really stun lock an enemy and just batter them down. But you can cast your spells, especially the AoE spell, pretty much anywhere on the map that I can see. And you can see Skelly here, who's probably the the best AI that we'll be fighting today will actually cast his AoE spell normally in a place that's pretty close to me. And hopefully we don't lose any matches today. You can pause here if you want to read this story. But Skelly definitely has a better AI for fighting. You can see kind of what the game can be as the difficulty ramps up. Alright, so with Arc, we have an AoE that actually draws enemies in, and then we can charge our main attack here, and it does more damage, you know, the more that it is charged up. So we're going to try and get this enemy locked into our AoE if we can. And then hit them with our bow. There isn't too much left. There we go. So with Arc, I've actually noticed that the easiest way to do damage is actually with the AoE. It is, I believe, 2 damage per tick while the enemy is in it. And you can cast it just immediately. And you see it's already knocked them down. Wow, there we go. Arc, of all the characters I've played, I've noticed that Arc easily does the most damage. Sustained anyway, with the AoE that you can cast and the see, we've already knocked Skelly down, and the bow attack that we have, which is just our primary, but it's a really strong primary. There is one other character who has a very strong primary, which is Aqua. It is a little bit harder to hit because you have to manually aim that one, whereas all the other characters' primaries are automatically aimed, which is both a bit of a good and a bad thing. And there we go. Skelly is down. All right, so we are done with Arc, and let's move on to Vito, who is the rock. And you can read this if you want. He is the rock element, and he is also the defensive class, I would say. Ignisa would be, if I had to classify everyone, Ignisa would be like the brawler. Arc would be the ranged character. I actually really like his AoE here. Oh, so much damage. And then we have a shield that actually blocks enemy attacks, which is very cool. Probably the strongest AoE in the game here. You just place it and it just does so much damage, and it's pretty consistent to hit as well. There we go. I actually am not a huge fan of Vito's primary, just because it has this delay, so you do actually have to place it, and then you know, the enemy can maneuver around it, which I'm not the biggest fan of. But he does do quite a bit of damage when he hits, and the shield is really nice if you are somebody who does tend to play more defensively. Vito just requires a little bit more setup to really do a ton of damage to an enemy, which really is the name of the game. We can do quite a bit of sustained damage with Vito. You just have to play around his AoE or his secondary attack a lot more, and you have to set up primaries for when the secondary does hit. And you can see if that hadn't knocked Skelly down, we would have actually knocked him into our secondary, which would have done a ton of damage, but we weren't so lucky today. You can see this really is kind of a dance, a lot more with the characters that don't just output massive amounts of damage. But we are done with Vito, and we'll actually be moving on to the final character, Aqua, who's supposed to be the, and you can read this if you like. Aqua is supposed to be the more difficult character, I would say, to play. They are definitely introduced as the character that has the highest skill ceiling, the highest skilling, if you will. But I don't think, at least in the beginning with their basic spells, I don't think they're too difficult to play. They do have a bit of a difficult to hit AoE or secondary. As you can see, has a very small box, but their primary is ridiculously overpowered. You can also teleport anywhere on the map as your utility spell here. You see I just go wherever I want. And there we go. That is the first fight down. Just a couple more. And like I said, this is basically right out of the tutorial. So the game is still pretty forgiving and giving you a chance to learn how each of the characters work before going really hard on you. Even so, Aqua is still a ton of fun because this primary, which is supposed to be very difficult to hit, is just, it's so much damage. It's a lot of fun to play with. Of all the characters, I would actually probably say that Aqua is my favorite so far, followed by probably Arc, who's another more utility-heavy character. Just get them up against this trash can where they can't move. The good thing about Aqua's AoE is it actually hits enemies in the air, which isn't a problem right now. But once, you know, guilds are introduced and you're fighting witches and things like that where they can fly, it's definitely useful to be able to hit people in the air. Just stun locked against the trash can. Enemies can also jump, as you can see. We've been jumping a ton. But the enemies don't do too much right now. There we go. And we are actually done. So I'm hoping that this will show off the different aspects of the game without spoiling too much of the story here that you can get into with the adventure mode. And the last thing that I actually want to show off is the verses. So this is where you can kind of see the game open up a lot more. So this is what is available to you as adventure mode progresses. You know, you get an ultimate attack, you get a homing attack, you have your utility, which is pretty much locked depending on the character you play. And let's just randomize up a little bit. I'll hit these a couple times. Oh, you can actually play as Skelly. I did not know that. I haven't even gone through all of the selectable characters. You can see there's a couple other ones that you can unlock. But I don't want the standard, so let's randomize just a bit until it looks like things are... This looks like a good mix of things. So we have Nightcrawl, which is basically just a dash. I actually have not used the homing or the ultimates yet, so let's see how well we do here. No promises that we'll be able to breeze through this as well as we did the last ones, but hopefully luck is on our side today. I forget that all of my attacks are different now. So there's our tracking attack. Oh, I got downed for the first time in this match. It's a lot. We have a lot more health, and it's also, a lot more difficult to actually fight against the AI. They're actually putting up quite a bit of a fight here, which I'm actually happy to see. There goes my ult. Oh wow, it pretty much just clears the the field here. Oh, wow, there we go. So we won this one. All right, so that is going to be it for today's showcase of WizardPunk. It's definitely a fun little cartoony brawler. The game is currently in early access. You can pick it up on Steam for about $12 right now. From what I've seen, there's a good amount of content, and there is definitely a plan from the devs to add a lot more. Like I said earlier, they added the guilds. There's a lot more spells coming out. There's supposed to be a permadeath mode. There is an RPG element to this game that we didn't dig into too much because we're not going super far into the story itself. But you can upgrade your primaries to do more damage and things of that nature. So this is a surprisingly fun like 1v1 fighter, which is not what I was expecting when I first picked this game up, but it's definitely worth a try. But that is going to be it for me today. Thank you for stopping by and checking out this game with me. So have a good day, night, whatever it is, wherever you are.